The next year is almost upon us, so let's take a look at the most exciting games that will come out in 2024. This list isn't in any particular order, and if I missed a game that you are most excited about, call me an idiot in the comments and tell me why your opinion is better than mine. With all that said, let's get into it. First up, we have the Gothic remake. Now I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't play the original Gothic cause I'm not 30, but I am aware of the cult following that this game has even to this day, and everything that I heard about Gothic are only good things, so I'm pretty excited for this launch. We already have footage and it looks amazing. In the trailer showcase we see a bit of a village and a very interesting stealth mechanic. The music and the voices also sound pretty good, so up until this point we only have good signs. This game isn't a reboot and it's supposed to be a fairly faithful remake, so for old fans of the series, this is probably really good news. But for new players, Gothic is an action-adventure RPG set in a fantasy world, and you will play as the nameless hero in his adventures. The Gothic remake comes out sometime in the second half of 2024. Next up we have probably my most expected game, and that is Star Wars Outlaws. And I have to say that I haven't been excited for a long time for a game the way I am for Star Wars Outlaws. Because if this game is good, it's gonna be amazing. We will finally have the open world Star Wars RPG we've all been waiting for years, and why not maybe the spiritual successor to Star Wars 1313. You will play as a bounty hunter on at least a few planets, and the game promised that it won't have a big impact on the Star Wars story, which is nice to see because as much as I love the Star Wars overarching story, well, maybe not the sequel trilogy, seeing Darth Vader in every piece of media and having him be beat by a random Jedi does kinda take away from his legacy. So hopefully this will be a wholesome Star Wars game with great combat and a good story. Star Wars Outlaws comes out sometime in 2024. Up next we have Black Myth Wukong, and we've actually seen quite a lot of this game. There have been a lot of trailers and gameplay footage, and it looks pretty good. It's a Souls-like that is based on the classical Chinese novel Journey to the West, and I like the sound of that because as interesting as the Chinese mythology and world is, there aren't many games that explore this culture, and also to be honest, I can't wait to fight a Chinese dragon. From what we've seen, the combat is classic Souls-like combat, with a Chinese martial arts twist, and that sounds great. I'm also excited for the story, but seeing that it's a Souls-like, we probably won't understand it. And from a Chinese-inspired game, let's move to a Japanese-inspired game with Rise of Ronin. Now this isn't a samurai game, I mean it is, but it isn't a classic samurai game, because it takes place in 19th century Japan, and that means you will also have guns. And tell me something cooler than a samurai with a gun. I'm waiting to hear it in the comments, and also like and subscribe. The world looks amazing, and also the combat seems to be really satisfying, and we've also seen some cool finishes in the trailer. But I'm so excited for the world. This game is developed by Team Ninja, the studio behind Nioh and Ninja Gaiden, so the combat will probably be really good. Up next is probably the best looking game ever made to this date. It looks so real the devs had to show behind the scenes footage. I'm talking of course about Unrecord. Now I know that we don't have an official launch date for this one, but there is a high chance it will come out next year because it already has a Steam page and the developers seem to be moving pretty fast. Unrecord is a first-person shooter that will apparently have a pretty complex choice system, but of course we are all here for the shooting and the graphics, and from what we've seen so far this game is amazing. But of course, let's wait until it launches because Cyberpunk also looked amazing and we all know how the launch was. But I'm praying that this game will be good because imagine playing this with your friends. The next game on the list is a sequel to a game that I've recently made a video about, go watch it. And even though I was pretty rough with my opinion in that video, I did mention that this series has a lot of potential. I'm talking about Greedfall: The Dying World, the sequel to 2019's Greedfall. While the first game takes place on the island of Tir-Fradi, The Dying World will take place on the continent that we don't visit in the prequel, and this time we will play as one of the natives that was taken as a slave. If they fix the problems that the first game had, which mainly were connected to the lack of interesting things in the world, and make the choices matter more, then this game will be amazing. The final game I want to talk about is Hellblade 2, because the first game is one of the most unique games I've ever played. It had an amazing atmosphere, great combat and complicated puzzles to be honest, but I loved it, plus everything connected to Nordic mythology will always be cool. I'm really excited for the sequel considering how good the first game was, and the studio didn't have a big budget at that time, but has since been bought by Microsoft, so now they have a big budget. And from what we've seen so far, they put that big budget to good use. But before ending the video, I want to talk about two games that aren't confirmed to come out in 2024 and most likely won't, but there's always hoping. I'm talking about GTA 6 and the new Witcher trilogy. We all have seen the leaks with gameplay footage of GTA 6 that for legal reasons I can't show, and we all know about the Take-Two projected profits for 2024 that show unreal numbers, but that isn't confirmation that GTA 6 will come out next year. However, if it does, it will easily be the biggest game of the year, plus Rockstar don't even have to do any marketing for it. As for the Witcher games, we know that they are happening because they've been announced a few years ago, and CDPR finally fixed Cyberpunk, so they will move their entire focus towards The Witcher, but I think it's more likely that GTA 6 will come out in 2024 than a Witcher game. But this is it for the video. If you are excited for any of the games that I mentioned, leave a comment and a like, and if you want a second part to the video, be sure to tell me because there are more games to cover. With all that said, I will see you soon. Goodbye.